Hey, Tragedy into Triumph. Today's podcast is just a little different. This is a talk that I gave live on May the 5th on the topic of addiction and what it means to truly wait on God. No matter what is going on in your life today, it is my hope as you listen to this that you will discover that there are some things that are worth waiting for. We'll join this. It was recorded live, and I hope it will be a blessing to you. In your life, what is worth waiting for? If you think about circumstances in your life that you've had, what has been worth waiting for? Maybe it was your driver's license. Young people, man, I couldn't imagine the freedom. Woo, it's great. Maybe it was that first kiss. Maybe it was worth waiting for your first child to be born, or grandparents. You didn't think you'd ever get your kids raised, and now they've given you beautiful grandchildren. Maybe. Maybe it's worth waiting for grandma's special recipe cookies, just fresh out of the oven. It's worth waiting for those. Maybe getting married. It was worth waiting for my soulmate. I waited all of these years, and it was worth it. Maybe that line at the concert to get to the front row of that band that you loved. Oh, it was worth it. Or standing maybe in line to meet the quarterback from that team that won the national championship from the best university in America. You know, the University of Alabama. That's correct. That's correct. What is worth waiting for? Seriously. In your life, what is worth waiting for? It's hard to wait. It's really hard to wait, especially when it's something you want. I mean, have you ever chosen a different restaurant than the one you really wanted to eat at because the line was shorter at the other restaurant? Or you're hungry in the moment, supper's almost ready, but you find something to snack on, and your mom says, quit snacking on those chips, you're gonna spoil. Yeah. You ever settled and bought something different than what you wanted because you could get this item easier or quicker? I want fulfillment. I want meaning. I want it now. So I'll give in, and I'll give into this relationship because it'll at least make me happy today in the moment. How many people have settled in life and married a person they didn't really love because they were tired of being alone? Or married someone that they didn't love because the person they truly loved did not love them back. Maybe you took a different career path than the path you actually wanted because you were just tired of waiting. It happens all the time. All the time. People settle for less than what they want, what they really want, because they get tired of waiting. I think people do this in their relationship with God, by the way. They settle for less than God's best in whatever the circumstance is, so we take matters into our own hands. We get tired of waiting on God to move, and so we turn our back on God because our prayer isn't answered when we think it should be. We pray, we held out for months, even years, and it never happened, and so we decided maybe God's too busy. Maybe God doesn't care about my needs. Maybe God has given up on me. Or maybe even worse, God isn't real. I'll go ahead and commit this sin. I'll go ahead and enjoy the moment. I'll forget about the consequences. At least I'll be happy right now. I can't wait another instant. Pleasure in the instant. Satisfaction now. It's interesting because for anyone that has ever struggled with addiction, it is more about instant gratification than it is anything else. Instant gratification, I'll give you a definition, is the desire to achieve pleasure or fulfillment without delay or deferment. The desire to achieve pleasure or fulfillment without delay or deferment. It goes like this. My life isn't going so well. I need an escape. I need a fix. I've waited. It didn't help. The thing I was living for didn't work out. I wanted it so bad. It's not happening for me. So I might as well, whatever. And off it goes. Every addict has struggled with instant gratification. And let's be real honest in this room. So has every person in this room has struggled with instant gratification. So let me give you my story. And I really don't want to tell you this, by the way, because there's a lot of my story. Let me back off that. If my story helps you see what God can do in someone's life, then I'm very happy to tell you my story. My pride doesn't want to tell you my story. How's that? I was a good kid. I grew up in a pretty good home. I had good parents. I knew nothing but love. I was the youngest of 5. I'm the best looking of all of them. I think my mom's here. I know she's here. She would attest to that. You can ask her afterwards. She's in church, so she won't lie. I'm very thankful for my parents. I'm very thankful for my mother. I was a good kid. Growing up in Alabama, my dad was a minister, so we moved a little bit. But my growing up years were in Alabama. I played basketball. From the moment I was in the 3rd grade, I played basketball. I wanted to play football, Saran. I'm a big dude. I've always been a big dude. And I really wanted to play football, but my parents would not let me go to a public high school. And so they put me in a Christian high school, which I'm not complaining about. It's a great school. But they didn't have football. So when there's no football, and I'd really like to hit some people, take out some young angst, I'm going to play the post. I'm just going to. In fact, my sophomore coach in high school said this to me: Wendell, you got a big butt, son. Use it. So I learned to box out. I was all state in high school. I had offers. I remember back in those days setting my VCR to record the nightly news because I was going to be on the news and they'd call Wendell Brown's name and it was a pretty big deal. I remember coming home and watching as the news called my name for whatever shot I made, and I enjoyed that certainly as a young man. I've got all the newspaper clippings that had how many points I scored in games and all of that stuff somewhere in a desk drawer in my office. I graduated 12th in my class. 12th in my class. Out of 24. I was in the National Honor Society. I was the all-American kid, I guess. I had a friend. His name was Jerry York. Jerry York just happened to be the great-grandchild of Sergeant York, World War I hero. Okay? Sergeant York's grandson, Gerald, was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He was in military intelligence, and Gerald kind of worked with our youth, and I loved Gerald, loved him. I respected him. In fact, at youth events, if you got in trouble, Gerald would make you do push-ups. And I would get in trouble on purpose because I wanted him to like smoke me like they do in the Army. And I'd start pushing. And it became this fun thing for me as I looked at Gerald and really admired him. And he was influential in kind of talking to me about the benefits of joining the Army. So to say that I was a patriot was an understatement. I remember hosting and going to a party where we watched presidential debates as young guys in college. Isn't that stupid? I mean, all right, there you go. I was a patriot. I wanted to join for 2.5 years. That's all I wanted to do. Get a little college money and then get after it. But when I went to the recruiting office, when I went to the recruiting office, I don't know if it was true or not, but they said you have to join for 4 years. If you join for 2.5, you can't go airborne. And I really wanted to go airborne. I really wanted to jump out of planes. Gerald York, Sergeant York's grandson, had been airborne, and I really wanted to go airborne, big time. And I wanted to prove that I was man enough to go through all the training because it's intense, and I wanted to do it. And so I said, well, I guess I got to go 4 years because I want to be a medic, and I want to jump out of planes. And they said, okay, 4 years. And so right there at the MEPS that day, I signed up and I called my mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to be an airborne medic. And she cried on the phone. The Gulf War was starting and things were starting to happen, and of course served during that time. And the next thing I know, I'm at basic training. On my first, let me just say this, that a lot of grunts, I don't know if you were in the military or not, so please don't take offense to this, but often we're called grunts and maybe referred to as not the sharpest tools in the shed. 12th in my class out of 24. Maybe referred to as not the sharpest tools in the shed. So on day number 1 at training, our drill instructor says, okay, I want to know, he's getting everybody's information. And he says, I want to know how many years of schooling each of you have. Everybody okay? He said, let me give you an example. If you graduated high school and you went to 1 year of college, give me the total years. That's 13 years. You had 12, went through high school, plus 1, you went to 1 year of college, 13 years. That's the number I want. Everybody with me? Absolutely. First guy up, I think his name was Private Porter. Porter comes up. He goes, all right, Porter, how many years of school have you had? And Porter goes, 14, drill sergeant. He said, okay, so you graduated high school and went to 2 years of college. And Porter goes, no, drill sergeant, I flunked the 2nd and the 4th grade. And he goes, drop, you dummy, and off it goes. That same day, us not so smart individuals, I actually called the drill sergeant a private. It was a bad day for me. Bad day. I had to do a lot of push-ups that day. Before too long, though, it's Christmas, and the drill sergeant is handing out mail to everybody in the barracks. And he looks at mail coming to me from Alabama, and he says, Private Brown, are you from Alabama? I said, yes, drill sergeant, I am. He said, I have one question for you. He said, and you better answer this the right way. I said, yes, drill sergeant. He said, are you an Alabama fan or an Auburn fan? I said, well, I could lie and, maybe hoping that you might be something else, but I'm not going to lie. I'm an Alabama fan, drill sergeant. He looked at me and he winked and he said, I'm from Tuscaloosa, young man. He said, you and I are going to get along just fine. Before I knew it, I was in a leadership role. Before I knew it, everybody else went to their bunks. And he would come in and he would say, hey, Private Brown, come here. And I'd walk out of the barracks and he'd say, hey, he said, I ordered a pizza. Let's sit in here and talk Alabama football. And so I'd sit and eat pizza with my drill sergeant. And then he'd say, hey, you got a girl back home? Go ahead and call her. It's okay. And the next thing I know, I was getting all sorts of privileges because I was an Alabama fan. So I do say membership has its privileges. I'm going to say that for sure, Saran. All right. I went to medic school at Fort Sam Houston. Airborne school was tough. I had strep throat during airborne school, and I was not going to be recycled. Brad would know all about that. Zach's dad. I was not going to be recycled. And so I remember doing a 12-mile run with 101.5 fever and saying, I'm going to do it. It's just going to happen. I'm going to get through this, because I was days away from finishing the whole thing. I competed for Soldier of the Month in preparation for Soldier of the Year. I was the guy that looked like I had it all together. Again, I was the all-American kid. I tried to be a leader. The problem was there was no accountability in my life. The problem is that when things were going well, I was doing just fine at leading. It started to really not go well when things fell apart for me. You can be pretty good when things are going well. The test of an individual's character is when things fall apart. I dated the same girl since the 8th grade. Same girl. I was absolutely certain we were going to get married. Absolutely certain. And I learned at Fort Sam Houston in training, started everything to change in my life. I learned that she had started seeing one of my friends while I was away. I'd put all of my hope into one thing. My identity, my life plan was tied to the wrong relationship. It sounds silly today to even say that, but it's true. I was a tough soldier, I thought, but I was hurting inside. So what does a wannabe tough guy do? He starts hurting himself without even realizing what he's doing. I needed a fix. I needed an escape, so I started dating. I started partying. I'd been saving myself, and I thought, well, if that's just what it got me, forget it. Forget it. A quick compromise because I had a hurt inside and wanted a quick fix led to a bigger compromise, led to a greater need for instant gratification, and led to greater problems. Alcohol led to marijuana, led to acid, led to cocaine, led to, sadly, to crystal meth, all because I had a hurt inside. I have pawned, I have stolen, I have borrowed, cheated, stabbed friends in the back, written bad checks, and done awful, awful things that I am not proud of. I was very proud of my basketball career, had opportunities to play in college. I was proud of it. And one of the saddest moments of my life was when I pawned my high school ring in the Army so that I could buy drugs one night. I pawned a ring that meant something to me so that I could get an instant fix for one night. I've always loved rock music. If you know me at all, you've just taken that lump along with me. I love it. And it's always been an escape for me, always. It's helped me process. I've always liked words that make me think about life. And I had absolutely forgotten this moment till I was preparing for this talk to you today. It's funny how music associates us with certain moments in our life. I remember sitting in my car alone after seeing Pee-wee the drug dealer. I remember in my car snorting cocaine and listening to a song titled Down in a Hole by Alice in Chains. I don't expect anybody to necessarily know that song unless maybe you're a rocker. But I remember listening to that song, and I remember the Lord brought this to my mind. I remembered wiping away tears because of how sad my life had become as I snorted another line of cocaine. And I want you to listen to the words of this song. Down in a hole, and I don't know if I can be saved. See my heart, I decorate it like a grave. You don't understand who they thought I was supposed to be. Look at me now, a man who won't let himself be. Down in a hole, feeling so small. Down in a hole, losing my soul. I'd like to fly, but my wings have been so denied. That song came out in 1992. I graduated in 1990, and I went from 2 years. I went from all-American kid to addict, crying in my car because I felt like I was losing my soul, because I felt like I could never get back to form, because I felt like I could never live up to what everybody's expectations of Wendell Brown was ever going to be again. I'd like to fly, but in 2 years, I was too far gone for God to do anything in my life. Anybody identify with that? Get the fix, Wendell. Tear up if you need to. You'll feel better in about 5 minutes. Forget the fact that the hurt is going to be there tomorrow. Instant gratification solved the moment. It didn't solve the problem. Let me ask you again, is there anything worth waiting for? Instant gratification is in direct opposition to what Scripture teaches. Scripture teaches us to practice delayed gratification or patience. Let me give you a definition. Patience. Accept delay as we hope for better. Accept delay as we hope for better. Romans 8:25. But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Psalm 37:7. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Instant gratification, there's a real problem with it. Okay? And whether you're an addict or not, there's a real problem with it. Because instant gratification places us on the throne and it dethrones God. Delayed gratification puts God in his rightful place as we wait and place our life and our trust into his hands. Instant gratification trusts me to fix the problem. Delayed gratification says, God, it's yours. You handle it. The problem with delayed gratification is that it goes against human desire. That's why nobody does it. Let me give you some examples. Why is it so hard? Well, nobody likes to wait. Nobody. We had a kid, I won't tell you which one. We had a kid that would ask me, hey, do you want to do something? And I would say, well, yeah, we'll do that in just a second. A second. Or I'd say, give me a minute. Just a minute. And they would say, that will take a long time, right? Nobody likes to wait. Age is a factor too. Mark Twain said life would be infinitely happier if we could only be born at 80 and then work gradually toward 18. Patience is a discipline that must be practiced to be developed. Age is an issue. Nobody likes to wait. I think also uncertainty. You know the old saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush? In other words, it's better to have, even if it's a lesser advantage, it's better to just have it now. I think also our society, it hurts us with this. I think one of the reasons that the church is struggling today is because of our society. We have been conditioned, Americans, that you shouldn't wait for anything. Why should you wait? You want to see a doctor? We can get that appointment in a Zoom right now. You want a mortgage? We can get that to you as fast as a rocket. You want to watch a movie? There's an on-demand movie. There's millions of choices. Anybody remember when you'd get a VHS tape and they weren't kind and they didn't rewind? Anybody remember that? Remember how disappointed you were? You're like, those jerks. And you're waiting for that to rewind? Yeah. You can order a car on your phone and have it the same day. Enjoyment is now. Why should you wait for anything? Now, I want you to catch this. When everywhere else in our lives, we don't have to wait for anything, why should you wait on God? This is the enemy's playground. Why should you wait on God? You can have whatever you want right now. When an addict is hurting right now, why should I wait? I can feel better, forget the pain. Now, if that's the world we live in, can you see how it can affect your prayer life? See, everybody gets tired of waiting. No one likes to save or wait for things or delay the fun that they could have if they could just have it now. Literally, I went on a 2-mile run the other day. I got back, looked in the mirror in our bedroom and said, it's not working. I might as well quit. Right? Right? Make it spiritual. God, I made a good decision today. I asked for your help, but my circumstance hasn't changed. Why haven't you answered? God, I'm praying. I gave this to you. I'm tired of waiting. Let me just ask you, think about this. Is there anything in your prayer life that you've prayed about for a long time that you still don't have an answer for? Do you become frustrated when your prayers aren't answered quickly? There's a benefit to waiting. There's a benefit. Isaiah 40, it's a familiar text, but I want you to hear about the benefit. Isaiah 40, starting at verse 28. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, he does not become weary or tired. Now, well, hold on. We're going to get weary and tired. But God doesn't feel like you do. Woo-hoo. God isn't tired. God isn't impatient. God doesn't suffer from instant gratification. He's not in a hurry, and he doesn't need to catch up. He doesn't need to be brought up to speed. He is right on time every time. The next phrase, his understanding is inscrutable. That word inscrutable means it's impossible to comprehend. His understanding of your predicament is beyond your understanding. He sees your life. He sees everything going on in it. He sees it in a way that you can't even understand it. It's impossible for your finite brain to fathom how much God understands your predicament. You think you know what's best in your life, but that is not the case. Your understanding of your life is limited. God sees every angle, and he understands exactly who you are and what you need. We can't and we won't understand God's timetable. We just have to trust his perfect timing. If that really is the case, for us to become impatient and to take matters into our own hands, if God really understands us inscrutably, then for us to take matters into our hands actually seems silly, doesn't it? For us to think we know best is laughable. Think about that. When trouble hits, when temptation comes, when you're filled with the desire to use as an addict, you place your trust in God, who knows each DNA structure of every person that has ever lived, because he knows how best to help you. And you wait for him. You say, but I need help now. I can't do it on my own. How can I wait on God? And I would say, you're right. You can't do it on your own. You're exactly right. Verse 29, he gives strength to the weary, and to him who lacks might, he increases power. You're going to wear out. You're going to be at the end of your rope. You're going to want to quit. Have you not heard? God is not you. He gives strength to the weary. He gives strength when you're ready to tap out. He gives strength when you're too tired to continue. To those who think you can't go another day, he increases your power. Though youth, verse 30, grow tired and weary, and vigorous young men stumble badly. Everybody's going to struggle here. Verse 31, and this is the clincher. Yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary. In every situation, every tragedy, every moment, every decision point, instant gratification, delayed gratification, in every moment, every situation, I'm at the end of my rope. I've done everything I know to do. I've been obedient. I can't make it another day. I feel like I want to go back to my old ways. I feel like I want to go back to my old life. I feel like throwing in the towel. It doesn't seem to be working in every situation. Hold on, because something is coming for you that you don't have on the inside if you'll simply wait on the Lord. Now, new strength is literally strength that doesn't come from within. New strength is strength you don't possess already. New strength is God, through his Holy Spirit, filling up your strength. I mean, think of it as a strength meter in a video game. And you're down and depleted and you're about to die. And out of nowhere, it's a level up. Boy, I'm ready to go at it again. New strength is strength you didn't earn. New strength is strength you can't produce. New strength is strength that he gifts you through his Holy Spirit if you refuse to take matters into your own hands. It only comes, the word says, if you wait. But it's hard to wait. Wait. Stay where one is and delay action until something happens. I'm at the end of my rope. I've given everything to God. What am I going to do? You're going to wait because new strength is coming for you. I can't go another day. God, I've been obedient. I feel like throwing in the towel. You're going to wait because new strength is coming for you. Psalm 27, wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord, he will come. Woo! I want to give you some things I hope will help with that. Okay? And then I promise we'll be done before 11:30. Okay? A couple of things. There are 3 zones to life. Okay? There's a good zone. A good zone. In a good zone, everything is new. Everything's exciting. Everything's fun. And let me say, these zones you can apply to anything. I'm going to apply it to addiction first. Everything's new, exciting. I've made a compromise, but boy, I really like the euphoria that I feel. I had a fun time partying with friends. Boy, they really seem like a great group of people until you don't use anymore and then they abandon you. I liked how I felt there. But then tomorrow morning, I wake up, felt good. I got drunk, whatever. And I woke up the next day and good turned to what? Bad. Bad. Boy, I felt good, but now I feel bad. Everybody with me? 2 zones. Now, let me give you another one. I met my wife. We got married. Oh, now this isn't Tammy. I'm saying, I'm projecting now. I want to make sure I say that. Okay. I got my wife. Our marriage is great. It's great. Best thing ever. Except now we're 5 years in. It was good. And now we're 5 years in and all we seem to do is fight. It was so good at the beginning and now it just seems so bad. I prayed about that marriage. I asked God to intervene and to give me a woman, to give me a spouse, a husband. And I felt like he answered that prayer. And now, we're at each other's throats so much. I'm just not sure. I got a new job. Love my new job. My boss is great. Except I asked for Thanksgiving off and now I can't stand the guy. Good went bad. Mark my words, everything that is good in your life will get bad at some point. Don't miss that. It's a fact of life. And the problem is, this is the problem, is good becomes bad. And most people in good to bad, most people hijack bad and they live their life in those 2 zones, good, bad, good, bad. So in bad, they go, well, I guess what I was doing wasn't working. I need a new spouse. It'll be good again. I need a new job. That'll fix it. I need a new relationship. That'll fix it. Or I did drugs. I felt bad. I guess let me do drugs again. That'll solve that problem. Everybody with me? Now here's where it gets really interesting though. That's only 2 zones. There's another zone and that zone is better. You've got good, you've got bad, but what if there's a zone that's better than all of them? Now, you only get to better if you quit going back to good. In other words, I have to kind of live in bad for a minute because the word talks about that light and momentary troubles do things for us. That present suffering isn't worth reflecting on other things coming for us. The word talks about that we have to kind of set in some things for a minute while God does his work. And what if better was coming? So what is, in bad, it's old, it's guilt-ridden, it's boring, it's dead. But in better, we start using words like, it's the best ever. It's amazing. I can't explain it, but God moved. I can't explain it, but I'm never going back to what it was. It's the best I've ever experienced. And here's what I know. Here's what I know. We never get to better if we don't wait on the Lord, because to get to better, I have to receive the new strength that God gives me so that I can step into better. Better allows me, even if my circumstance doesn't change, better allows me to go, it's a new day and I've got a great God, and tomorrow is going to be better than the last because I have hope of heaven living in me, His Spirit welling up within me, and tomorrow He's going to do something even better than the day before. Let me give you a posture though. Most people, if we're past, present, and future, most people spend their present looking at the past and staring there. Guilt-ridden, I did this, can't get past it. This happened to me, I did this, why did this? And if the future is coming for me, I can't even see what my future is. But when I accept the strength that God gives me, He positions my body, my life towards the future, and I boldly step in and say, it's yours, God, we'll get there together. And instead of living in a cycle, I experience the deep and great things of God that the Word talks about. Some of us spend our lives good to bad, and there's better coming for us. I think it's scriptural. Galatians 6:9. Do not become weary in the habit of doing good, for you will reap a proper harvest at just the right time if you don't become weary and don't give up. I'll give you one other principle to help you in waiting. It's the law of the harvest. That is that we reap what we sow. Everybody gets that? But we always harvest in a different season than we sow seeds. Okay? I made some bad choices. I had to live in the harvest of those choices for a while until I started planting the right seeds through the Spirit of God to get me into better. Everybody with me? So, you say, well, I struggle with addiction. I would say you struggle because of bad seeds that have been planted. That struggle is going to continue because there are wages to sin, the Word says. There are consequences. God's grace offers a fresh start, but you may have to wait a while in a world that you've created. But when you make better decisions, you start to plant good seeds, and that seed is going to one day produce a crop tenfold of what you've experienced thus far. So let me go back to my story. In the Army, I'm getting out. I moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay, there's no drugs in Florida, by the way. I moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Pompano Beach area. I'm drawing blood at a doctor's office. I was a medic in the Army. Well, at the same time, I'm looking for other jobs. I become an insurance agent too. I'm managing a pizza place. I don't really know a lot of people, so I'm working a lot of jobs. And I moved in next door to a Nazarene church, and I went over to a revival service, and it was like God was talking to me. I was completely broken. No one in my family knew it. No one knew it. It was all internal. I was completely broken. And I remember that day, it was like the guy was talking to me. I went to the altar, and God got a hold of my life that night. I would love to tell you that I got up and I quit everything that day. I did not. I had a lot. I was living in the harvest of seeds I had planted. And nobody knew the struggles that I was having. But I will tell you that my heart from that day forward was changing. And there was something that was developing on the inside. I'd planted some bad seeds, and it took a while for them to be replaced with a better crop. So I started to be obedient, and things started to change, and that bad season started to turn. There's a lady in the church. Her name was Frances Tullen. She came to me, and she said, Wendell, God wants you to be a minister. I said, no, He doesn't, Frances. She said, yes, He does. She said, would you just pray about it? Let me know. So I did, and pretty much kind of in my spirit, even though I had some habits, I think you might be right. And she said, well, that's good. She said, because she said, God told me when you said yes, I'm supposed to help pay your way. And she wrote me a check that covered my first full year of college pretty much on the spot. Now, I think she had her doubts about me because she made me sign a promissory note that I would pay her back. But after year one, she sent me the promissory note, and written on it, it was paid in full after year one. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it's amazing. So I go to Circleville Bible College. I did get to play college basketball 1 year there, and Ohio Christian University. And then there was this real beautiful girl that walked in, prettiest girl I'd ever seen, walked into the cafeteria. And in those days, you had to wear jean skirts there. Ladies had to wear jean skirts back then. And she had a jean skirt on, and she walked into the cafeteria, and I looked over, and I was like, wow, prettiest girl in the whole school. When I got to Ohio, I never asked any other girl out. I had my sights set on Tammy Elkins. And true story, she called me at my apartment at Apple Ridge. She called me, and she said, are you going to ask me out or not? True story. True story. And I feel good about saying that now. Yeah, I feel good about that. On our very first date, remember that guy that God had done a work in his life? On our very first date, man, God was still cleaning up a lot of baggage. And on our very first date, I said to her, listen, there's just some things you need to know about me on day one. And I spilled my guts to her. And she looked at me, this sweet, holiness, innocent girl. And she looked at me and she said, if God has forgiven you, you're a new person, right? Who am I to hold that over your head? She gave me, in that one phrase, she gave me a lot of wings to fly. That I really was different. That God had really done something in my life. I'm in ministry because of her. Frances played a big role, but at college, she was there saying, you need to sign up. You gotta, if you're called to it, you gotta do it. You gotta just go do it, Wendell. And she is the unsung hero of the Brown household. There is no doubt whatsoever. There have been some years I've wanted to throw in the towel on tragedy into triumph, and she has been absolutely not. Don't you dare. And so pretty much beyond the Lord in my adult life, everything good is traced back to the Lord bringing Tammy into my life. And I want you just to think about when I think about how I sat in bad for so long. And today I've got 4 kids that love Jesus. I've got a son-in-law that is out in California serving God. I'm about to add another son-in-law. My kids, I told Tammy, there was a Sunday a few weeks ago that all of our kids told us what happened in church on that Sunday. They called to tell us, our adult kids. And I looked at her and I was like, hey, they all chose to go to church today. Like, that's a win. That's a win. And then a couple of my kids are helping lead worship, and Abby's doing media. Man, there's been problems. Y'all don't know this, but in Circleville, when I was here, we owned a house in Tennessee we couldn't sell when we came here. And there were a lot of nights I was up at 2 trying to figure out how I was going to pay our bills because I had a mortgage and, 4 kids. And the Lord just takes care of so much. You can have a tendency when you're living in better, the enemy wants to pull you back. He's forgotten you. He's abandoned you. But that is not the case. Don't you dare again go the route of instant gratification. And once you place your life into the hands of God, once you give it to him, once you say, here it is, you can have it. It is the most beautiful change that can happen in your existence. And you literally will go from biting and chewing your nails to worrying and fretting, and all of a sudden you'll realize there's a God at work and every result is his, and the only thing I need to do is just be obedient to him, and he will never let me down. So would you stand with me? If you want to live in the deep things of God, if you want to find supernatural strength to endure hardship without suffering, if you really want to soar in your walk with God, you have to wait on God. He sees every angle. His understanding of who you are is inscrutable. You think you can't ever be free from addiction? You can. Cry out to him and wait. You think there's no hope for your circumstances? Wait for him. New strength is coming. You think your marriage is too far gone? It's not. Both of you put your trust in him. It may be bad, but put your trust in him and wait. And watch what a wonder-working God does. He'll give you strength you don't have. It is power that will be given to you from the power of Christ. All you need to do is trust in him. Hear me. Good or bad, those two zones. Hear what Lamentations 3 says. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, and better to the soul that seeks him. There is help for your soul that can only be experienced in just waiting. There's peace in praying and crying out to him. What if you could leave today with new strength? You've come depleted. You're not sure. I've tried everything. What if you could have it? I think you could. We're going to sing. The altar is open. Hear me. If God has just given any tug, if there's been any moment that, yes, I need to pray, I need to confess that, I need to wait on God, would you just come? Hear me. The saddest thing would be to have untapped power for your soul and walk out of here and say, it's not for me. That would be a sad day for you to have what is needed in your life and not experience it. Please, hear me. Give God the opportunity to do that in your life. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Give him the opportunity as we sing. Thank you for joining us today. If you'd like more information about Tragedy into Triumph and would like to learn how to connect with us or send me a message, go to tragedyintotriumph.com, tragedyintotriumph.com. You can find more of this topic in a book called Living in Triumph, which is also available on our website. May the Lord bless you. May you truly find peace in him.
May it be our strength. And as your blood ran down.